Oh, it's you. Come on in. Welcome to the Scumm Bar. Welcome to the Scumm Bar Podcast, episode 47, where we talk movies, video games, pop culture, books, Palpatine, and everything in between. I'm your host, Mattbrush, Jedi Mattbrush today, and with me, a Sith Lord. Rise.
I guess I'm Sith Anth0z.
Darth Anth0z.
Oh yeah, that makes Darth Anth0z.
Darth Anth0z. I was actually just wondering with a buddy of mine the other day, I was thinking, so is Vader not a Sith then? Like, Vader's not a Sith, I assume, right?
Why not? Isn't he?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just a fallen Jedi, right?
But then it becomes the apprentice of a Sith, so I think he's like officially a Sith.
Are Sith bloodline Sith, or a Sith like just based on what you practice?
I feel like it's based on what you practice. You know, I'm not the person to be asking this, but
either am I though. That's why we should talk about it more and more, like from authority, like we know. Anyways, welcome to the Scumm Bar Podcast. Anth0z, how are you doing today?
I am doing. Yeah, how are you doing?
Oh, you're just blankly doing. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta be.
You just gotta do.
You just gotta be and you gotta do. I'm doing good. Anth0z, would a pirate joke cheer you up today?
Ooh. All right. Sure.
Why did the pirate walk the plank?
Because it was too. He couldn't run. His peg leg prevented him from running.
Because he couldn't afford a dog. Ah! So good.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. It's sweet. It's innocent. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got a big episode planned here today. We're going to be doing a Star Wars themed episode.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. I guess we're going to be doing a bunch of different things, probably a bunch of different questions about Star Wars, talk a little bit about Rise of Skywalker, talk a little bit about previous movies and such. We're just going to have a lot of fun doing a bunch of Star Wars stuff today. Yeah. We may even have time for a Star Wars quiz in the middle of it, depending on how today goes. But
I'm not ready, but okay, we'll try.
First, before we get into all the Star Wars-y stuff, let's do something I like to call... what do I call it again?
Yay old news!
That's exactly what it is! Yay old news! So, Anth0z, why don't you lay on me what you got to throw down?
Alright, I'm going to lay on you a bunch of trailers.
Ooh! I hope I've seen them all.
So, well, have you seen the Wonder Woman trailer?
I have seen the Wonder Woman trailer, yes.
Cool. Well, that's one. Have you seen the Ghostbusters trailer?
I have seen the Ghostbusters trailer as well.
Great, that's two. Have you seen the Bond trailer?
Yes, I've seen that as well.
You're
wow.
3 for
Holy
3.
smokes. I am shocked that I can say I have. Wow.
Great. Okay, well, that's the trailer news portion.
Have you seen the new Top Gun trailer?
Ooh, not the new one, no. Have I? When did that one come out?
Like, I think just the other day, like a couple days ago.
Oh, then definitely not. No.
Yeah, okay. I was in the same boat. Just my buddy wanted to show it to me. Because he told me, he's like, I want you to find the conflict/villain in this trailer. We watched it. And he proved such a good point. There was no conflict and no villain in the whole trailer. It was hilarious.
Yeah, in the first trailer that came out, it was more so just about, like... Him, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just about him.
And his legacy that he's not going to give up.
It's pretty much just them saying, remember Tom Cruise? Remember Top Gun? We're doing another one. That's what the trailer is, pretty much.
Yeah.
So the second trailer, pretty much the same thing. Anyways, why don't you go ahead and tell me about these trailers?
It's been a while since I've seen that now, but the Wonder Woman trailer, so she's got some... Whoa.
Sorry.
So Chris Pine is back. Colonel Trevor.
Yeah.
No, sorry, not Colonel Trevor. Trevor.
The Piniest.
What's his name?
I feel like his name was Chris in the movie. I feel like his name was Chris Pine. And she goes, Chris! I feel like...
Mr. Pine!
I feel like his name almost doesn't matter because I feel like it was just Chris Pine.
Okay. Well, anyway, Trevor Pine is back.
Trevor Pine?
Trevor Pine is back. Dennis Quaid is here. Have you ever seen that? From, yeah, okay.
Dennis Quaid wants coffee. Yeah, no.
Anyway, so
No,
Wonder Woman to get some new armor.
She certainly did.
Yep. Trevor.
They're going for the Thor Ragnarok aesthetic here. They're going for 80s rock and stylized colors
and
and
like
such
really
for this
flashy,
movie.
flashy, shiny kind of aesthetic.
It feels almost like too late for that theme, and yet at the same time, no, it just feels all around too late. You know, as my fiance was talking about it, she was like, "This looks like they're trying to mimic a Stranger Things-esque aesthetic."
Oh.
I was like, "Yeah, it does seem like that." And then also, it's got a little bit, in my opinion, just it's trying to be too much like Thor Ragnarok, which was like what 3 years ago or something now. So it feels like it's too late to the party. And then on top of all that, I think one of the really interesting things about Wonder Woman was the theme. The theme always stuck with me. It was a good theme.
Yeah.
And then the theme is gone now. It's just something else. It was very just like generic 80s theme. And I wouldn't normally be saying generic 80s theme if we hadn't just had a bunch of movies that are all taking place in the 80s now.
Yeah.
So it just seems a little
trend.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's a little trendy. It's a little samey, and I was kind of hoping for something a little bit different. In my opinion, I think it would have been more interesting if it was taking place during like Desert Storm or something, and she was going to war now in more of a modern setting.
Okay. Yeah.
And not just let's throw her in the 80s. I don't know. It just seems strange, but that's my take on it. I mean, who knows?
Wait, didn't the Wonder Woman also take place? Like, did it? It took place, I guess, both in the 80s, or they showed flashbacks of when she was training, and then. Yeah, wait, didn't it take place in the 80s?
What are you talking about? Desert Storm?
No, Wonder Woman.
Oh,
No, the first Wonder Woman.
No, first Wonder Woman was in World War One.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
World War Two.
Oh, right,
World
right,
War Two.
right.
Sorry.
Right. World War II. Okay. So I guess we have to figure out what happens to.
We could have
Chris
done
Pine's
Korean
character.
War. We could have done Vietnam War. Honestly, Vietnam War would have been great too. We would have had 70s music, and we would have had like all that aesthetics. I think that would have been really interesting. The
Wonder
whole
Woman
peace-
and bell bottoms.
You could have seen Chris Pine with like bell bottoms and like the peace sign, and he's like at a rally or something. Like I think that might have been a better aesthetic that makes more sense for her story. But at the same time, I don't know the comic books at all. I don't know her story at all. And on top of all this, when I saw the first Wonder Woman movie's trailer, I didn't like it either. I thought it was going to be really bad. I was pretty much dragged into the theater to see that movie, and I came out and really liked the movie. So
Oh, okay.
I was shocked by how good the first Wonder Woman was. And most of it was Chris Pine and her. I think those two were so good on screen that whole movie sold me. It was very good.
Okay.
But this one, it just seems off again. But again, who knows? Maybe I'll walk into this thing and it's amazing. But just I feel off about it. It feels strange.
Well, it also feels like quite a bit of a departure from the first one.
Mhm.
I like just thinking about the trailer anyway. That it just, like you said, so it's got like the trendy rock music. It's taking place in the 80s, and the trailer itself doesn't really exude like a superhero movie.
No.
If you know what I mean. It just seems like
Until
like
it
an
cuts
80s
to like a
experience,
CGI
I guess.
fest and that it's like jarring almost.
Yeah, I guess so. So I don't know. I don't have too much to say about that one. As always, like I don't really have much to say about any trailers per se, just because I'm still not in that mindset where I'm like really trying to pay attention to what I'm seeing in the trailer to
Right,
make
no, of
sense of
course.
what I think I'm gonna see in the movie.
And it is a little wrong to judge a movie based on the trailer. It's just you can make guesses and estimations from there, so you can sometimes be right, but you can totally be wrong and off about it. I mean, Mission Impossible 5 is one of my favorite trailers right now. I still think that trailer is one of the best trailers there is out right now, and I don't necessarily like the movie all that much, but the trailer is really good.
Why don't I recall the Mission Impossible 5 trailer?
Oh.
Is that how new is that?
It's, well, I don't know. How old was Mission Impossible 5? Or, I'm sorry, was it Mission Impossible 5? No, I'm sorry. I said the wrong one. I meant Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, I see. You mean
Yeah,
like,
I didn't mean 5. I'm sorry. I definitely
okay.
meant Fallout.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, that trailer is really, really good. I don't know who did it, but like they just knew how to make a trailer. Everything is edited really well. It cuts perfectly with the music. The music itself just like enhances what you're seeing on screen. It's just it's an example of how to make a really good trailer. And I don't even really know the Mission Impossible storylines all that well, but I saw that trailer in theaters, and I remember as soon as that trailer finished, I was just like, I want to see this movie. Like it looked so good.
Yeah. Why don't I remember? Oh, I remember the scene where they're in that thing, and then there's the water, and then right. I barely remember this movie. I don't know why. For some reason,
Fallout?
Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Fallout's the one with in the trailer they did that thing where the big Superman actor, he's got his muscles and it's like doo doo doo. It does it like perfect on beat.
Yeah,
thing.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. But they do this really
Yeah.
good build up at the beginning of the trailer where it's just playing this like nice piano roll, and it's like got this like interesting like crawl that's coming up, and all these characters are saying lines from the movies, and it's getting interesting and interesting and interesting. Then it just cuts, fades to black, and it slowly fades on Tom Cruise, and it just hits with the Mission Impossible theme. It's like doom 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 doom. But then instead of it playing the Mission Impossible theme, it's playing a different song, and it's like crossfaded both these songs together. And it's
cool.
It's I shouldn't just describe the whole thing. I swear I could describe trailers for like years, but go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's really good.
Why am I seeing related movies? Mission Impossible 7? What is this? How many Mission Impossible?
I don't know which one Fallout is, but it's definitely more than 5.
Yeah, Fallout must be. Wait, Mission Impossible 7 is coming out 2021. There we go.
Oh, I see. So Fallout is 6 then?
I guess so.
Oh,
sure.
God, that trailer is so good though.
2,
Watch that
3,
trailer.
4.
Anyways, yeah. So who knows? Who knows about Wonder Woman? Who knows what it'll be like? Oh, I hope it's good for their sake, because DC could use one right now.
Yeah, but they can always use one. I mean, well, they have a. I guess they're focusing more on TV.
Yeah,
On
they
cable?
do. Like they do well on TV too. Like people seem really interested in the Flash and the Green Arrow stuff.
Yeah, the series is called Arrow. They've also got the DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Right. Wonder Woman,
they've
Batgirl,
got-
or whatever.
Well, not Wonder Woman, yeah, but yeah, Batwoman is on it.
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry, not Wonder Woman.
And then there's Supergirl.
Supergirl. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, and coming soon will be Stargirl in early 2020. So that's something that I just recently saw too. So I'm not really I'm not familiar with her at all. I'm just looking up online, but it says notable aliases: the Star Spangled Kid. She's been affiliated with the Justice Society of America, STARS and STRIPE, that stands for Stripe. Suicide Squad, Young Justice, Justice League, and Justice League United. So some of her known abilities: trained gymnast and kickboxer via cosmic converter belt. So I guess okay, so via her cosmic converter belt, she has enhanced strength, speed, agility, and stamina, and she has the ability to project shooting stars. Aw. So everybody can make a wish around her. That's nice.
You know, Mewtwo could also make stars. He used Swift.
I think, well, Pidgey can too.
Yeah, but Mewtwo's more interesting than Pidgey.
But Pidgey
Mewtwo had a better base attack than Pidgey did.
Pidgey's cute.
Yeah, well, Mewtwo looks like Frieza. I swear Mewtwo and Frieza were designed by the same person.
I'm pretty I'm pretty sure that's something that has probably been up for debate and then like was finished really quickly because everybody just agreed that yes, they do look alike. So anyway, yeah, so Stargirl coming out on CW early 2020. So like CW is just full of all these DC shows. I'm not sure, which one's gonna be. I thought I heard that maybe Arrow is gonna be ending soon, unless they were just talking about this new arc. So they're actually going through the arc right now where all of the shows that are available now. So Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, and Supergirl, they're all doing crossovers for Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I think this is a comic from back in the 40s, if I'm not mistaken. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Thank you, Google. Oops, no. Oh, publication date, never mind. April 85. Why did I say 40s? Marvel wasn't even, nobody was around back in 40s. I guess some people were around. Anyway, publication date, April 1985 to March 1986. So it was just a short arc of 12 issues. So I do want to get into it just because it'll be quick to catch up on. I mean, considering it's just 12 episodes, I'm really curious to see how they fit all the characters together. Because Supergirl also has there's a Superman in that show now.
Right.
I think Martian Manhunter might even be in that show, and I don't know to what extent all of the other characters are, but it's funny that there's this thumbnail of Brandon Routh as an aged Superman, and he was Superman in the movie. It wasn't Man of Steel. It was Superman Returns, I think. The one with Kevin Spacey as Lex.
Yep.
And so I wonder if maybe he is going to be reprising the role as Superman. Like he already is he's already the Atom. He's Arnold Palmer Ray Palmer. He's Ray Palmer in the DC shows.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess maybe if this thumbnail is accurate and he's actually portraying an old Superman, then it must be like a different Earth Superman that he is. And then this was also interesting. The guy who played Lionel Luthor in Smallville is returning as well, but he is, I think he's returning as an aged Batman, like an aged Bruce Wayne.
Oh wow.
And Tom Welling is also returning as an aged Superman, but like a
Wow.
farm boy Superman. So
Oh, that's awesome.
so yeah,
It's good to hear.
It really intrigues me. It's
Oh, that's funny.
like,
That's
with all
kind of
these-
like what we were talking about in that one podcast. We are talking about the remake of Superman that's inevitable, and like
Yeah,
what we'd
right.
like to see for these kind of characters. That's interesting. They're doing that with the TV show, because with the TV series, I guess they don't have to worry as much. They can just kind of say like, I don't care where this is going, but we can just kind of do what we want.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like it's not gonna be. Well, I expect it won't be any kind of canon with any of the movies, so they've
Right.
got a little bit more free range there to like you said, do whatever they want. What else do we? Oh, so the Ghostbusters trailer.
Right.
Yeah,
interesting.
That to me seemed something about it seemed much more like serious of a movie than all the other Ghostbusters that I remember. Because like they're all like the whole cast, like they're all comedy actors, right?
Right.
From the original Ghostbusters movies, and while you watch the movie, like yes, there are some creepy and scary moments, but at the same time, I guess because of that era, a lot of those scenes for me are more on the comedic side as opposed to like this is a serious thing. Like
Yeah.
yes, like it's ghosts, but like we have to we're taking this whole thing seriously. Like I didn't get it from that, but I'm getting it from this upcoming Ghostbusters movie. I don't know if it's just me, but who did I see? Was that Finn Wolfhard?
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard's in it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Stranger Things kid. This is another one. My fiance's like, oh, it's another movie trying to be Stranger Things again.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it does have that feel to it for sure.
Yeah.
It seems to me like they're a little bit scared. Sony's a little bit scared to throw too many jokes into the trailer. I think they're worried that if they throw jokes into the trailer, people are going to think that this movie's also not taking it very seriously. So I think because of that, they decided to try to go for just a serious tone.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I'm hoping that the movie is actually a lot more funny than it seems to come off on that trailer.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I'm not disappointed in the trailer. It does look pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Because they're not trying to remake anything. It just seems like they're trying to pay homage and make their own thing. The Red Letter Media guys did a little review on this, and I love watching those guys. They've got good opinions on these movies, and they did like a little kind of reaction to it. They were pretty much mentioning that it seems more like a Tremors movie. It seems like the old school kind of Tremors thing. I mean, if you remember the plot of Tremors, it was like earthquakes happening and people don't know what's going on. Then it's like a small band of people that end up fighting these giant worms, right? And that's kind of what they're doing with Ghostbusters. They're taking it out of New York, right? They're doing it for like small town setting and like much smaller kind of stakes, but still paying homage to the original movie and barbecued steak, pork chops, ribs, right? I mean,
yeah. Coleslaw.
See, as I'm talking, that's all Anth0z is ever actually hearing.
Jus, gravy, mashed potatoes, garlic mashed potatoes,
fettuccine alfredo,
butter melting on top of
rigatoni.
that.
Anyways,
I could go for a pizza.
So, yeah, it does seem more grounded. And then I don't know if you caught it in the trailer. It really sounded like Bill Murray was in that trailer. Did you hear?
Wasn't he the narrator for a little bit?
It seemed like it, yeah, but it didn't say like Bill Murray anywhere, so I just assumed it was him, but I don't know. There was one guy who he was, I can't remember what he said, like we are inevitable or something, or it was inevitable, or I don't know.
The whole time I thought it was Bill Murray, unless
not the whole trailer. No. A lot of it's done by. Actually, I don't know who it's done by. I think it does a bunch of different of the actors like saying different lines, but there is like 3 specific lines that all sound like Bill Murray is talking, and I was like, ooh, this is cool.
And then remind me again, who's the characters? They're related to one of the Ghostbusters.
They're related to Egon.
Egon, yeah.
So
right,
Egon is
yeah.
played by what's his name? Harold Ramis. Ramis, and he passed away unfortunately. So he helped make the original movie with Dan Aykroyd. They helped like co-write the whole thing.
Okay.
So he was really tied to the Ghostbusters, and he was really awesome. But yeah, so when he passed away, everybody was like, "Oh, well, there it goes. Now we'll never see another Ghostbusters movie, right?"
Yeah.
But it does seem like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd are coming back for sort of recreating that awesomeness. I can't remember the black guy's name, but I think he's coming back. Like, if they come back, I kind of hope he comes back too, because I know he doesn't like get referenced as much as the other two do, because he's not necessarily a huge actor. But
Winslow something? Carl Winslow? Let me.
Oh, is that who he is?
I don't know. I'm looking it up.
When watching the original movie, though, he's so funny on some of his lines. Like, they're all really good together. I think that's what makes it. But
Oh, I was totally off. It's Ernie Hudson.
Ernie
As-
Hudson, right? Yeah, that's who it was.
Who am I thinking about?
So I hope he comes back, but we don't really know.
Winslow.
Um,
Oh, I was thinking of Family Matters. Ooh, oops, way off.
So
Anyway.
yeah, not really too much to say about Ghostbusters except for I hope it's good, and it looks like they're treating it differently and a lot better than the other reboot was. So
Okay.
I'm excited. Honestly, I don't really care. I'm kind of a sucker for those movies, so if they just want to throw some proton packs in it and throw Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd into it, I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah, I wonder if it's gonna take place in the same universe as the most recent reboot then.
No, because they had a line. It was almost like a middle finger to the reboot. It was kind of funny. There was
Oh,
a
really?
line where it was like, "We haven't seen Ghost in 30 years." And like I swear, I think all the
Oh.
characters on screen like looked at the camera. Like it was like,
What?
"Oh no."
I want to find.
No, they
that.
don't actually, but
Okay.
No, but there's that specific line. There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, we're redoing the whole series. Like,
Interesting, but they
Yeah.
you don't think they were just referring to like in that town or city or wherever?
oh, I don't
it
know.
takes place?
The trailer also seems pretty specific to it, right? Like a proton pack. He's like, oh, you guys don't know what this is? It's a ghost trap, you know?
Right.
He's like, oh, they used to use these all the time back in the 80s, right? Like, there's a lot of lines like that that seems very specific to that the other one never happened. Minus the
Right.
fact that the other movie made it so that the other Ghostbusters didn't exist, right? In the other movie, there was no
reboot
other
movie?
Ghostbusters. Yeah, the reboot movie, there was no Ghostbusters. They made
okay.
the Ghostbusters, right?
I think we talked about this, but I never ended up watching it. So I
Oh,
just,
okay.
it's-
I've seen like the first 10 minutes and I couldn't stand it, but I have watched like this is not like a badge of honor or anything, but I have watched those like 2-hour video essays that are done on the Ghostbusters. Actually, the Red Letter Media guys did a really good Ghostbusters analysis, I should say, and like where it went wrong and what would have made it better. And I really liked watching that. That was good.
Okay.
I can't recommend those guys enough. They're really, really good to watch.
Gotcha. All right, moving
James
on.
Bond. James Bond was the other one.
Yeah, Bond trailer.
Yeah.
Jeez, I cannot remember this for the life of me.
I don't have
Maybe-
much to say about it except for it looks like another Bond film.
It's-
I mean,
yeah.
I've never really watched many of the Daniel Craig ones. I've seen a little bit of the one where he goes to the family estate and has like a sawed-off shotgun and stuff. I can't remember which one that was, but it was kind of interesting. But I haven't really been keeping up with the Daniel Craig ones at all. But this one featured the black woman who was like 0010 or something, or I guess she was like 009 maybe, or 008. I don't know.
In a previous movie, you mean like she was 009 only in this one, or in a previous movie?
No, like this one, she comes out of nowhere and she's like another 00 agent. I don't
I
know
see,
what her
yeah.
number is, but yeah. Then so it looks like she helps him out for like a little while or something. I think they're alluding to how she might be taking on the reins of 007 eventually.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like. And then doesn't she threatens him to like get out of her way? So I think she is
Something like
yeah,
that,
it does
yeah.
sound like maybe they're trying to transition into her being the next full-on Bond, I guess.
Yeah. Just scrolling through my movie news real quick too, just before I forget. It looks like they might be doing a remake of The Dirty Dozen. Did you ever watch that movie, The Dirty Dozen? Came out in like the 60s.
I didn't know, but I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
I
No.
watched it with my dad last year, I think, for the first time ever, and it was like so good. I was blown away. Sometimes when he wants to show me an older movie, I'm like, I don't know. And then I watch it, and I'm always surprised. I'm always like so happy I saw it. And anyways, it looks like they might be doing a remake of this. So that's really cool. But sorry,
Cool.
so when you're watching the Bond trilogy, you don't remember anything that you thought about it when you saw it?
Only the very ending where he's walking down this corridor and then he turns to face the camera and does the whole like shoot the camera thing.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing I remember. I think because it probably caught me off guard, like I didn't expect it. Also, I think what I'm used to seeing is, wait, do they ever do that for trailers? I remember seeing those for like in the movies themselves, maybe in the
I
beginning.
don't know. I don't think I've seen a Bond trailer actually, because I've never really been all that interested. I
Okay.
like the older Bond movies, but the newer ones, ever since Pierce Brosnan, I haven't been able to watch them and keep up with them.
You know, and it's so weird just picturing all the different Bonds, like the actors for them.
Yeah,
Thinking
for
about
sure.
like Pierce Brosnan to Daniel Craig is already such a huge stretch.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, like, I guess that's how the Bond rolls.
It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was all the trailers, right?
That would be. Let's see. Yeah, those are all the trailers. One of them Ghostbusters, Bond. I mentioned Crisis on Infinite Earth, Stargirl. I was just gonna mention this. This was, I think, maybe I think it was late last week. Ron Liebman, who played Rachel's father, died at the age of 82.
No,
Yeah.
he's so funny.
He was great in that role.
Oh, he was so good.
I didn't know him for anything other than that, but yeah, just quickly looking him up, it did seem like he was known for like quite a lot of things. So.
What was that one line where Rachel tells her dad the name of her doctor? Where like Ross is like, oh wait till you get his
Bobby?
first name. Yeah, Bobby. So good. He is so freaking funny. Like he's one of the best characters. In fact, the parents on that show are all great. All of them are very funny.
All of the parents for sure.
But, like Chandler's parents, hilarious.
Yeah.
Monica's parents, hilarious. Rachel's parents are very funny. Her dad mainly. Her mom's okay. She's not great, but she's okay.
Yeah. And then the very little that we do see
Bobby?
of Phoebe's parents are also really funny. Oh man.
Oh man.
Boy. Anyway, yeah, so rest in peace to him.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you, you don't have Disney Plus, right?
I actually am about to get it.
Oh,
So
like,
I gotta,
like in next minute?
maybe actually within a couple of minutes, I think.
Okay.
I got so some friends of ours from Vancouver. We are doing one of those, hey, we'll help you if you help us kind of things to make it so it's cheaper. We never really thought about this till just now. We're like, oh, we might as well do this, but we're going to give them our Netflix while they give us their Disney Plus.
Oh,
so
nice.
We're all just kind of doing the same thing. Because
Cool.
I swore I would never pay for both. But I was like, oh, but this works out because they're the only ones on their Disney Plus, and we can share our Netflix. So we're like, oh, that's perfect. So we're going to do that, and that's going to happen literally in the next couple minutes or so. We're going to get the password to the account, and we've got it installed on our smart TV, and we're good to go.
Cool.
So, I got to try it out a little bit over the last couple days. And yeah, it was interesting. I liked it. I liked the interface. I thought it was cool. And I was shocked by the amount of content I wanted to watch, so I was really interested by that.
There's
like,
a
honestly,
lot of content on it.
I was when I was looking at it, I was like, this is a lot more than like when I'm on Netflix and I'm like, I should watch this or this or this. Like on Disney Plus, I was like, oh, there's actually a lot more I'd actually want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
not necessarily new stuff, but like old, like childhood stuff, right?
For sure. Well, actually, one thing that really got me is Clone Wars, and Clone
Nice.
Wars is off Netflix now, and it's on Disney Plus. So the whole show of Clone Wars is on there. Plus, now they're bringing it back. So with Clone Wars coming back, you can we can watch more episodes of it on Disney Plus.
What do you mean
So.
bringing it back?
Well,
Like
Clone Wars stopped. I went to season 6 and finished.
and
it
they're
got
gonna
canceled.
continue?
Yeah, it went to Rebels and it went to all that stuff, and yeah, Clone Wars is coming back now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I'm actually
they've got
trying to
the
catch
best
up on
arcs.
Rebels because I finished up to season 3 like however long ago, and then I didn't get to. I think because 4 wasn't out yet, and then I just forgot about it. So
Yeah, I'm not
now
gonna
good.
watch Rebels. I've never seen it. I don't want to get into it. I know that the storyline does continue from Clone Wars, but I just feel like it didn't have to, and so I'm just gonna stick with Clone Wars only.
Okay, it would be good in a way for closure on certain things.
I know you can watch some
think-
characters develop more for like I think I've seen most of the scenes anyways, just through like reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
I get that there's some more storyline I can get out of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know where Clone Wars is going to come back to, like because you know
Right.
with Clone Wars it's not really chronological. They kind of just jump around on their episodes. So,
Did they
yeah,
not that much, right?
not all the time, but it wasn't necessarily like just watch season 1 to season 6 in order, and you know that's how you watch a show. Like for me, I started in season 2, like when I kind of cherry picked my episodes based on a few different suggestions from people, and then I would go back and watch a few others, and it never really mattered too much because the show is not necessarily all that dedicated to being set in a perfect timeline.
Oh wow, season 7 trailer was back in like April. How did I not know this?
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer for it.
Oh man, I think I'm most excited to see what happens to Ahsoka.
Right.
I think a lot of Star Wars Clone Wars fans were
Of course, yeah.
excited about that too, and everybody was like super excited when she showed up in Rebels because I hadn't heard anything since then. But
Exactly.
cool, that's
Yeah.
good news. I'm
I
happy
know.
about that.
It's old news, but it's good news.
Yeah,
I just learned about it the other day, so
Old news.
I didn't even know about it, but I heard about it the other day and was like, oh, interesting. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
realize. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely watching that.
Yeah. So before I forget, then after you have gotten the password,
Yeah.
let me know once you've watched the Endgame delete or the extra footage for Avengers Endgame.
Oh, right. If we rewatch Endgame, we get extra footage yet?
I don't know if it's actually no. I don't think it's a part of the like watching the movie straight through. But
Oh.
if you go to the like when you press into the movie and then you go to like the extras tab,
Yeah.
then you can scroll through and there's a whole bunch of extra footage, and so some of it will be
Awesome.
like commentary, like I think 5 or 6 scenes of like deleted scenes have commentary on them, and those same 6 scenes plus like another 4 or 5 or so
Okay.
don't have commentary. So some of them are unfinished. Like you'll see the Hulk he's not completely textured.
Oh, I see.
But he is there,
Yeah.
and they're just showing like what the scene would have been.
Right.
So some of them are pretty cool. Most people were I think. Well, it sounded like most of the people I saw online were really interested to see the. There's actually a little bit of what happens to Tony Stark after the snap.
Okay.
So that's I think that's just like a couple minutes or so, but yeah, let me know when you've seen all that, and then we can podcast it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
If you have more news, we can go into it, or we can jump into Star Wars. Do you want to jump into Star
Let's-
Wars?
Jump for my love, jump in into the Star Wars, jump for my love. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so what would you like to do? Do you want to start? You were the one who wanted to have a Star Wars topic, and I don't blame you.
Oh,
at all,
so
'cause
it's all about me now.
It is. It pretty much is. I love Star Wars, as you know. I could talk about it for years as well. I just need to know, did you have any things you wanted to go over first and foremost? Did you want to just kind of play it loosey-goosey, or what were you thinking?
I thought it would be interesting to kind of compare the direction of all the trilogies so far. I mean, we only have 2 complete trilogies.
Yeah.
And then soon, well, I think by the time this podcast airs, we will have 3 complete trilogies. So the saga will be over. But yeah, so that was one thing I thought would be interesting to talk about, because like there are some very obvious differences.
Yes.
You know, like the available technology, just the directions of the movie themselves. I don't know, like sound effects, movies, the action sequences. Like there's the very evident things, but maybe there are some that are a little bit more subtle that some people wouldn't pick up on, that I wouldn't pick up on either. But I thought that could be kind of fun to talk about. Otherwise, like, I mean, Star Wars it's such a huge culture at this point, right? It's not even just a bunch of movies and TV shows.
Right.
Like it's a whole culture. Like people are gonna dress up to go to the screening. People train in lightsaber battles, like in real life, and do performances and stuff like that, right? So
yeah.
there's so much ground that we can cover. Well, I mean, there's so much ground that is possible to cover, but would be difficult in such a short amount of time. But yeah, we can just kind of go wherever the force takes us, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay, well, why don't we break it down? Would it make sense to break it down trilogy by trilogy?
Probably, and then
Okay.
I mean, we've also got like the 2 outlier. Is it 2? Like Rogue One and and Solo.
Rogue One.
Am I missing
Spanish
any
Star
other?
Wars.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, on Disney Plus, and I looked up. It wasn't just me, but when you play Star Wars: A New Hope, the text crawl in the beginning was in, I think it was Spanish or something like that. But the rest of the movie was fine. Like everything was in English. But when I played it, I was so confused, and I checked my settings, and nothing was, like, everything was set normally. Everything was in English, and I have no idea why the text crawl was not in English. So maybe they'll fix that soon, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well, actually, when I was watching the digital demastered version, which is an unofficial demastered version of the original Star Wars trilogy, where they take out the special effects that George Lucas has been putting in since the 90s to try to make it as close as it can be to the original theater release. When I was watching that version, I was telling you, it was a little bit hard to get the copy. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops because it's a little bit illegal to distribute.
May or may not be legal, yeah.
Yeah, to distribute it. So you may or may not have to jump through many, many hoops to be able to get a copy of it. Well, I had a copy of it and I was watching it, and the funny thing was it was in Russian and it had German subtitles or Swedish subtitles, and I was like, oh no. But it was funny watching people do like voiceover in German for the original Star Wars. So yeah,
nice.
That was, I had to go and find the audio and sync it up. But yeah, anyways, that was just a funny thing too. Okay, so what do you want to go chronologically or do you want to go numerically?
Why don't we? Yeah, sure. I mean, like chronologically, but this might make more sense of the flow of the conversation itself. So yeah, we can start.
Most of my passion in Star Wars is with the original trilogy, 4, 5, 6. So why don't we start there with the original Star Wars awesomeness?
Okay, so not chronologically. So we're starting with.
Oh, that's why I said numerically. Numerically, it'd be like 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
4,
I'm
5, 6,
sorry.
7.
I thought you meant
Chronologically,
chronologically,
it'd be,
as in like how it, like the
years it
timeline
came out would be chronologically.
Ah, sorry. Okay. Okay, numerically.
I mean,
okay.
unless I have that wrong, but I think that's what it stands for chronological.
Whatever. We're just gonna. So, A New Hope.
Okay, so with A New Hope, I don't exactly know where
first
I'm going with
first
this.
of all,
Go ahead.
let's talk about the opening scene takes place on Princess Leia's, or not her ship, but is it it's one of the rebels' ships.
Alderaan? Alderaan is her. Oh, sorry, ship. I was
No,
thinking
on
about
the
her
ship.
planet. I was like, what's the planet name? Alderaan.
But
Anyways,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
the
Yeah.
yeah.
It starts on her rebel ship flying into the distance with the Empire ship all coming into the shot.
Yeah.
Shot. If you want to watch a really interesting effects video, by the way, the Corridor crew on YouTube, they do a really, really good video that shows off all the effects for the original Star Wars and how they did these special effects. It's very good. And you don't even really think about the fact that Star Wars was made without computers. Like, there was no computers to do sci-fi special effects or anything like that. So all of these things are practical effects done in really interesting ways. And I knew some of how things were handled, but not all of them. And I'm shocked to see how they put it all together. So these guys, they captured that really well. So find that on YouTube. It's a really good video.
Cool. So right off the bat, and okay, it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be difficult for me to stick to just talking about movie by movie because
let's just do this trilogy in general. Then let's just do A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Sure. Well, okay. I wanted to compare just the opening sequence of this trilogy to the prequel trilogy.
Oh, I see.
Phantom Menace, and so reason being is because like I said, it starts off where we one of the first, a couple of the first main characters that we see aside from R2D2 and C3PO are Princess Leia and Darth Vader, right? So right from the beginning, we're introduced to 4 very important characters, and then throughout the rest of the movie, I always feel like we go on a bit more of a adventure journey, learning about all the different characters, but they're all converging into one. Whereas I'm remembering from a Phantom Menace, one of the first things we see are both Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, but they're they're in some sort of they're underwater, and then they're being chased by these giant fish. So the openings to those movies they're so vastly different, and that I feel like that's already a foretelling of the rest of the direction of those movies.
Yeah, like the opening to, you're right. Like A New Hope, it's instant battle as soon as it hits. Like the title of the movie is Star Wars.
It's Star
and the
Wars,
first thing
and
you
you're
see
already
are Star
you see
Wars,
war.
Right?
Right.
And you're like, oh wow, but when you watch Phantom Menace, the very first thing you see is a ship flying into the whole Trade Federation fleet. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then it's 2 important looking cloaked figures walking into a board meeting. And then they're like, what's going on here? What's going on there? And then it's weird looking alien figures being like, ooh, it's a Jedi. Oh, da, da. And you're like, what is this? It's so weird. It takes a while to get going, and when it does, it's still a little awkward. It takes a bit to kind of jump up a bit more in Phantom Menace.
Yeah, it does. And I understand that they couldn't, or it probably wouldn't have been a good idea to start with too much conflict, because then we're just rehashing episode 4 all over again. We have to start before the war actually starts, right? So we have to see all that build up. So it makes sense, but at the same time, it, like I said, I still feel like that sets the pace for what the rest of the movie is going to be.
Right.
And so just knowing that, okay, so we're watching these 2 Jedi, so does that mean we're just focusing on those 2, the growth of them, and then nothing else is going to be as pivotal? Because I remember.
Well, that's interesting.
Episode 1 for me, The Phantom Menace, is I still can't not consider it one of the outliers of all the trilogies, because it's a fairly standalone movie in terms of how they decide to show the growth and development of the character. So Anakin, for example, meeting him as a young kid, sure, he's a mechanic, so he built C3PO, and he built his pod racer, but we spend half an hour on the pod race or something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like the only intent of that pod race, sure, it's to free him from slavery, maybe I feel like there could have been other ways to free him from slavery
For
that
sure.
would take less time and are still like a legitimate way, because obviously Qui-Gon wasn't about to just go against whatever policies or rules are of how it is in Mos Eisley. But there was just so much time taken by that, and I guess it was also to introduce how good of a pilot Anakin could be. But I don't know, that he eventually has the time, like later on in the movie, where he gets into one of the which one is it? The yellow fighters.
Right, yeah. I don't know what they're called, but yeah, whatever those fighters are.
Yeah, so he gets into one of them, and then we have like a huge sequence of him like actually being in that, and so we get to see like another moment or several moments of him piloting. It's like, why do we need to have both of these for so long? Like, we could have had like a pretty short introduction to him being a pilot. You didn't have to justify it that much, and then when we see him later on in space with R2-D2 like supporting him too, like that seems like a really good, like much more of an opportunity to see that in action, to see his piloting skills. Anyway, and then so going back to episode 4, like I said, it was gonna be very difficult for me to stick to one movie, but
that's all good. I've got a generic thing to say about those trilogies.
Okay, sure.
But
yeah. What I found pretty different from the original trilogy to the prequel trilogy is I kind of felt like I said, so episode 4, but also with 5 and 6, we're kind of taken on an adventure, and that adventure is not limited to just the Empire versus the Rebels. Right? Because we see that Luke he crash lands on, it's not Dagobah. Where does he land? Yeah, it is
Dagobah is where Yoda is.
Yeah. So he crash lands on Dagobah, meets Yoda.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Han also they go to meet Lando, and then Han is frozen in the carbonite, and then he's taken back to Jabba, so he's got his own thing to deal with. Like, we see like everybody's got like their own different path where there is conflict there, and ways for them to rise above it or get through it in whatever fashion. So I find, with episodes 4, 5, 6, I kind of enjoy that a little bit more. Whereas in episode 1, 2, 3, I feel like the focus is really just on a couple characters throughout, and it's always them just kind of skirting around what is going to become the Empire, like just skirting around what Palpatine is setting up. And I also kind of take it more like comic strips. I don't know if you noticed, but in episode 1, 2, 3, there's, like Star Wars is known for the screen wipes, right?
Oh yeah.
Where it doesn't just like cut scene to scene to scene. But in episode 1, 2, 3, there are so many wipes. Like there'll be a scene of like, what is it? I don't know. It'll be like a 3-second thing and then wipe. In the next scene, and it's like, what was that for?
I know.
I don't know.
It's a stylized effect, I guess, and it's now become the Star Wars stylized effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, they handle it a bit better, I think, in the newer trilogy, the sequel trilogy, where they still do the same transitions, but just they handle it so it's less abrasive. But the prequel series. I mean, George Lucas has said this many times too, but they're just, the issue with him making movies is he's not necessarily an editor, and he's not necessarily a story writer. I think he fancies himself an editor, but he's much better. He's much better just getting the project done.
Okay.
But I wouldn't necessarily say he's even the best director either, because when he has somebody else step in to direct his own movies, they're even better. Empire Strikes Back was one of the best Star Wars movies, and it wasn't directed by him, right? He was the creative force behind it, and he was the one who put all the passion into it, and thank gosh he did.
Was that no pun intended? Creative force.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and thankfully he was there to get it started. I mean, if he didn't have the dream, it wouldn't have happened. But at some point, the movies they shouldn't be edited by him, and they have to get fixed in post. And that's happened since the very first Star Wars, A New Hope. He had a mess on his hands with this whole movie, and he had this whole thing that he wanted, and his edit made no sense, and he had to get editors to come in and fix the whole thing. And when they fixed it, they made a much better story that had really good beats, because it told the story a lot better. I feel like he did more of the editing on the prequel series.
Yeah.
And when he did that, I feel like, because you can see a lot of this on some reviews of he filmed a lot of behind the scenes while he's making those movies. And you can see a lot of the people, they almost seem too afraid to give him criticism like while working with him, because they're just kind of like, oh, we're working with a genius, right? So when he's doing it, people are watching like the cuts, especially Phantom Menace, so you can watch their reaction when they've seen it for the first time. And even he's kind of like, oh, like I may have gone too far in some places. Like, and even he's a little bit like, this is a little weird, you know? And they kind of fix it, I think, with post-production. I think they fix a lot of it with edits. And I think that's why you're getting those like 2 or 3 second scenes and then another transition. Because I think they had to tell you some exposition dialogue for the movie to even make sense and then cut away. So I think that was the only reason that scene's even there, I think. So that's my opinion. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it just seems that way.
Yeah. One of the things that bothered me of episode 1, I mean, there's one of the many things, but there's that one scene where all the Gungans are getting ready for war with the droids, and they're waiting, like they're just waiting in their spot, like
steady.
That's exactly the scene. Like, why do they? We don't need to see Jar Jar Binks like telling everybody to calm. Like, I don't understand. What's
I'll never forget that line. I don't know why.
Oh,
steady.
Like, I don't know, it's such a waste. Anyway.
Jar You know, I saw that movie 5 times in the theater when it first came out. Wow. I was 9, 10. I don't know how old I was. What was it, 99?
Probably. Let's see.
Okay, I would have been 8.
Phantom Menace was 1999. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I would have been 8 at that time. And I saw it 5 times in the theater. My dad took us for like 3 or 4 of those. And you know, I loved it. As a kid, I really, really liked Phantom Menace. And I think as a kid, you don't think Jar Jar Binks is all that annoying. Like, I thought he was... Maybe I found him funny, but I know that he definitely wasn't my favorite character. Like, it went Qui-Gon Jinn as my most favorite character, and Obi-Wan Kenobi as a second favorite character. Because back then, you don't really know Obi-Wan Kenobi. He has barely any lines in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know Qui-Gon Jinn a lot more, so it definitely went Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I think I liked Anakin, but... I don't really remember liking Anakin too much, so I think it was mostly Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and I liked them. I think Darth Maul I thought was really cool and striking, and I really liked that final battle. Like, to me, it was so interesting, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it was a really good battle, for sure.
So, as a kid, I really liked that movie, and as the movies have, like, advanced and come over, I know I've heard all the criticism about Phantom Menace, and I totally get it. Like, I definitely understand, but I still have a weird nostalgia for that movie. So, for me, Attack of the Clones is the worst of the prequel series. But, because I didn't even enjoy that. When that was 2 years later. I was now 10, and I saw that in Disneyland. We saw it at, like, a Star Wars theater or something, and I didn't like it there. I thought it was bad. And,
yeah, I guess with Attack of the Clones, like, there was... so I like the second half more. I feel like there was so much... that's what I was going to say. Like, Star Wars... So, episode 1, 2, 3... I guess more so 2 and 3. Yeah. To me, it actually feels like several episodes, like, cut together. Like, spliced to be
like the Clone Wars TV shows.
Yeah.
Like,
it
you're
really
watching a
feels like
montage or compilation of the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because in I don't know if it's episode 2 or more so 3, but in those episodes, like, you find the characters, they'll get to one point and then they have to, like, fight a boss kind of thing, and they have to get to another point and then have to fight maybe like a mini boss kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
That's what, like, so with like with episode 2, how did everything take place? I guess, well, the conflict would be the person trying to kill Queen Amidala, but let's just, like, skip ahead to, like, the second half where after Obi-Wan, Queen Amidala, and Anakin have all been captured, and so they're in that pit, like, where Jabba the Hutt gets everybody to, like, watch basically the prisoners get slaughtered by whatever beasts that he's got captive.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of like, okay, so I guess, like, to me that kind of felt like they went all this way and now this is like their mini boss, so they've got to, like, defeat these monsters, and then after that they defeat the monsters, and then next Count Dooku's there and they've got to figure out I guess the next portion of, like, fighting the destroying all the droids, but then they get the support. Yoda comes in, so I don't know. I feel like each of these sequences could have just been like one, like a 20 or 30 minute episode altogether, and it would have been cool, like, piecing it all that way. But then I kind of feel like watching it all through, I'm kind of like, I'm not necessarily kind of going up and down with it, but it almost feels that way. I'm kind of like moving forward and then I, like, pause a bit, and then move forward and pause, and it feels very jerky for me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like, well, in episode 3 specifically, like, they're after Grievous, so, like, they fight him. Oh, no, sorry. So first is, like, they kill Dooku, and then next is they kill Grievous. And so those were, like, the 2 mini-bosses, and then later on, then Anakin becomes the boss kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Final boss mode.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
Yeah, in that sense, like, I still feel that kind of, like, jerky lack of flow, but I get like I enjoy the flow better of the original trilogies, episodes 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
I do find it interesting though what he tried to do, where Anakin's kind of on a downward spiral through the prequel trilogy, like he's constantly on a downward spiral going down. Even though it doesn't come off that way in the movies, because he's the hero for most of it until the last 10% of the trilogy, and then he's suddenly not the hero. But I get it. Like, I get what he's trying to do, and I think that's interesting. Meanwhile, in the original trilogy, Anakin, if you think about it, I guess is on an upward spiral. He starts off as just a bad guy with nothing. Then he's a bad guy with a emotional connection to the main character. Then he's a bad guy who, because of his emotional connection, is turning into a good guy. So he ends up upward spiraling in the original trilogy. So it is interesting how you can have the contrast. It just doesn't play off very well. And I think... So here's my main thing about the original trilogy and the new trilogy. And I think the original trilogy I always think of as Lord of the Rings. It's very just Lord of the Rings-esque. It's it's that main character who all he wants to do is drop the ring in the fire, but all he's really trying to do is just go on that adventure. He always has wanted to be on an adventure. He wants to get out and get away from the farm. He wants to get out of the Shire, and he wants to go and have an adventure. Kind of Bilbo Baggins-esque, right? And then he meets an old wise man. The old wise man tells him about his father and all this stuff, and everything that he is born. He's pretty much born for adventure, but has never got to go do it. Now here's a sword. Go have an adventure. Suddenly he's like, oh my gosh. So he's got his sting. He's got his sword, and he goes off on an adventure. Right. By the end of the whole series, he's had his adventure. He's completed it, and he's made the world better for it. So the original trilogy is Lord of the Rings to me. It's just a great, awesome story, and that's why it's so much fun. You got your Aragorn-like characters with Han Solo, and you've got like your Gandalf-like characters with Obi-Wan, and you just keep it going. And then you have like, I guess, Sauron would be like Darth Vader, I guess, in a weird way. But and then the Force. The Force is always just that unexplained good and evil that Lord of the Rings has, that Star Wars has, right? It's just, there's always a good and evil to these best stories, where you can take the evil path, but you choose to take the good path, and that's what makes you a good person. Makes the hero's journey. So the original trilogy, that's what makes it so good. It's because it has that, and that's what makes a good movie, usually. If they connect on a bunch of those layers, then people will normally connect with the movie, and it's fun. And that's why fantasy is great sometimes. But the prequel trilogy is not that. The prequel trilogy, in my opinion, is trying to tell the history of Star Wars. So the prequel trilogy, I feel like he spent 3 movies trying to tell us why Star Wars. But, like, the original trilogy was trying to tell us Star Wars. The original trilogy is like, this is what Star Wars is. And then you're like, wow, and you don't need to know why. You just jump in and have fun. But the prequel trilogy is all like, oh, but now let's tell you why Star Wars. And it just gets into all this stuff you don't care about. And actually explaining at the very beginning of the show, when we're talking about Sith, and we're like, how do Sith even work, We're like, does it matter though? It shouldn't matter. But when the original the prequel trilogy is trying to constantly explain all these things, midichlorians and like Anakin, and we have to apparently see why Anakin's evil. I don't know why that matters. Obi-Wan says it in A New Hope. He says he was a good pilot. He was my best friend. He got seduced by the dark side. He even says, like, originally he says that Darth Vader killed your father. Very interesting. Once we find out that he is his father, we go, oh, like, that makes sense. Like, the evil corrupted him. He got taken over by that. And so, therefore, he's gone. He's officially dead. And I don't know. There's something great about that. Why did we need to know? We don't need to know more than that. There really didn't need to be a prequel. But then George Lucas decided to start to tell us why the Jedis are all gone. Why were the Jedis now a myth? Why are the Jedis like this, He just tried to tell why, and I don't get it.
Well, okay, so don't get me wrong. I did enjoy... I pretty much enjoyed every single Star Wars movie I've seen, except for maybe Solo. I mean, like, I enjoyed it to an extent, but that is my least favorite of all the movies. Actually, no, that would be... Maybe it's tied with Episode 1. No, I think I liked it less than Episode 1. But anyway, I like the way that you describe it. Like
Episode 1 has
Original
Duel of the Fates, okay? If there was no Episode 1, there would be no Duel of the Fates.
yeah, exactly. Horror! So I like how you put it, that the original trilogy is This Is Star Wars, and then the prequel trilogy is Why Is Star Wars?
Yeah, Why Is Star Wars?
Why is Star Wars? Why is Gamora? So the reason why I like that is because the way I see the original trilogy is that Star Wars, so I see it as it's not just a balance of like what. Well, okay, it's good versus evil, but on several levels, not just on the dark side versus the light side. So what's the actual terminology?
Well, I think it is dark side and light side, and then there's also the Rebels and the Empire. But
and Rebels and Empire, and then so Sith versus Jedi. But like how you said, Rebels versus Empire. So there's actually so much more threat from the Empire in episodes 4, 5, 6. That the Rebels feel than there is in episodes 1, 2, 3. Because in the prequel trilogy, it's all puppeteered by Palpatine, right? So he's the one who sets up like all the mechanical droids, and he's the one who I guess like I guess it was it Sifo Dyas is the one who originally wanted the clone army, but somehow I guess it was Sidious that was able to make it still like take action.
I guess so, yeah.
But anyway, I could be wrong. But anyway, in 4, 5, 6, there's the Death Star, and when I think of the threat looming over the Rebels in Episode 4, I don't think it's just Darth Vader, but I think it's everybody that has been working to put together the Death Star, because they're all evil. They're all bad guys. Like General Tarkin. Right, he's definitely one of like the pivotal members who is not, or that we know of. He's not Force sensitive. He's just like one of the generals, and he's striving really hard to beat the Rebels. Right. Whereas in episodes 1, 2, 3, sure, we've got like the viceroys and some of the other Trade Federation, but they're just like, yes, they are generals, but they almost seem just like peons. You know what I mean? Like they don't really have much effect in terms of they're not called the Rebellion they're called the Republic. So the Republic in episodes 1, 2, 3, like they don't necessarily. I don't see that they're threatened by the existence of the viceroys and the other generals of the Separatists. But in 4, 5, 6, I feel like there's so much more threat of the generals in the Empire.
Right. Well, because you're kind of watching like tyranny. In 4, 5, 6, you're watching an over-oppressive government that's taking control of everything, right? So because of that, it's like the Nazi Party. You've got your Hitler-esque character, but you've also got all the Nazi generals. So if a Nazi general was like walking into your country and was now suddenly like, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing this, he's threatening. He's an intense person because he represents the Empire. He represents the tyrannical force. So that's why. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly why. What's his name?
Tarkin?
Anyways, yeah, Tarkin, thank you. Yeah. Any of those kind of guys. That's why they're so threatening, and that's what you're right. It's got a lot of that bravado. And then when you see Vader get so angry, he like chokes one of them out or slams them into a table. That's why it's just so awesome, because you're just like, yes, like.
Yeah. I like that. I guess for me, it really portrays more of a war scenario.
Yes.
Right? Because we've got one side where, like, the rebellions, the rebels, they're doing whatever they can to like be secretive, to find out the plans, and then do whatever they can to fight back, build up their own army, like recruit more people. And then we've got the Empire, where they've got stations all over the place. They've got lots of structure. Like they have so much going for them, and it's about how much more it's going to take to bring them down.
Right.
And Star Wars Episode 1, 2, 3, it's kind of like, it's almost I guess it's the exact opposite. Maybe that's what they were going for, but Palpatine, he while he puppeteers everything, we see his gradual rise to obtaining all that power. So it's completely different, but maybe that's why I like the original trilogy more in that sense. Yeah.
And like, even though it is the history, it's all history telling us why of Star Wars. It's not necessarily boring. There's a lot of
No,
boring moments
it's
to
not.
it for sure, because it's
Yeah.
like, well, let's make Star Wars into politics, and you're like, wait, what? Like, why do we need to watch this, you know? But at the same time, it's like, okay, I get that. It is kind of interesting to know what was the world like when Jedis were running the place. What was the world
Yeah.
like when all that was happening? I get that. It was kind of cool, but it would be like Peter Jackson making a Lord of the Rings prequel trilogy. And suddenly being like, oh, let's see what the dwarves were like before they were like in Mines of Moria. Let's make, part of you is like, okay, well, that is interesting. Like, what were the dwarves like in the Mines of Moria before they were abandoned or ancient?
Yeah.
All the orcs came in and killed them all, right? And you'd be like, okay, that's cool, but you need 3 movies around that plot. You don't. Like,
No.
You just like, it would have been interesting if it was maybe one of the movies where the Jedis are on top and we see how everything's going. But that scene when Darth Maul comes in and he's the Sith and the elevator doors open or whatever, right? I feel
Yeah.
like that should symbolize the moment when the Jedis are instantly falling. I feel like from that moment on, it's war. And even the title of Attack of the Clones, the second one should be war from all out war, but it should be the Jedis questioning their own order. It should be the Jedis questioning the Republic. They should be way smarter than they are. As Obi-Wan says in the third one, we're smarter than this.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
it's true. They are very smart people, and I don't understand why they don't see any of it coming, and then suddenly there's now some Order 66 and they all get wiped out. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. It just it's too quick, and it needed to be told in better beats. And
Yeah,
we should have
it
had a lot better of, like you were saying, war, and then see the creation of these generals. Why did Tarkin become Tarkin? Well, we could have seen maybe some interesting thing that he did during the Clone War to smartly trick the Jedi and then become a general because of that, and to lead this
Yeah.
new empire. We also needed to see more of why the people believe the Empire instead of believing the Jedi. We need to see why the Jedi
that's a
weren't
good
able
point.
to sway them,
Yeah.
right? Because
That's a
everyone
good
just
point.
goes, yeah, the Empire is the new way to go, right? Like, we should have seen a 1984 kind of esque portrayal happening where they're getting fed the wrong information and
Yeah.
lies being slandered about the Jedi. That would have been interesting to go through too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, the only portion that we get from it is in the 3rd episode, just after Sidious becomes like all wrinkly from the
Yeah.
his dark electrocution.
I don't know who would trust the weird shadowy figure with the disfigured face.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, that's kind of the only time where we see him appealing to everybody,
yeah.
like to everybody's negative notions about the Jedis.
Yeah.
That's like the only time, right? And yeah, I think that would be it would be much more beneficial to get more of that.
Yes.
But the thing with the Star Wars movies is we kind of have to rely on just the fact that in between each movie there's a lot that happens that we just don't see, which is okay. Like, I think that's fine. Like, they do what they can with the text crawl each time, and it kind of just like reviews or recaps or at least puts
Right.
us in, lets us know like where we are at currently. But to me it just seems like there's so much time that has passed between each movie, even with that text crawl, that sometimes it makes it a little bit hard to follow. And I think in that sense, that's what you're saying. Like, we would, rather than spending so much time on maybe like building up these like why Jedi, put more time into why Empire kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
as I now check the time as well, we have gone way over for having the Star Wars trivia. So what I think now, what we'll do is let's move into the new sequel trilogy, as they're calling it.
Sure.
And talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Before we get into Rise of Skywalker and all that, how do you think this trilogy is shaping up? Okay, so the prequel we were calling kind of the why of Star Wars. We were calling the original series the Star Wars itself. What is the sequel trilogy trying to say? What is its main kind of theme, would you say?
It's Star Wars and then ...
That's actually yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. It was like, it's almost like a conjunction or something. It's Star Wars, therefore. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like, it's interesting, but that is actually kind of it's because of Star Wars prequel or sequel trilogy, you know? Like,
I guess it should be like Star Wars Aftermath, if you know what I mean. Right?
Yeah,
Like, 'cause,
exactly.
Like,
Yes.
It does seem like or it's just like, I don't know. I see it as a separate war. Like, it doesn't feel like it's the same war being fought, but maybe
No.
we're gonna see in this the ninth episode, now that Sidious is back, maybe it's gonna tie into the whole like, this whole time it was actually still one war that they were all fighting, but
Yes.
it just under different aliases, different names, and different umbrellas.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
a little shocked about with the sequel trilogy? I didn't expect myself to say this at all. I really didn't. But I'm a little shocked with their restraint on the prequel trilogy. like I was expecting, especially in episode 7, I guess, the Jedi Awakens or whatever,
The Force Awakens.
I was
Jedi Awakens.
I was really expecting more references to the prequel trilogy.
Okay.
Because we were getting so much fan service of the original trilogy, which I loved. I thought was amazing. But I was also like, while watching, I remember in the theater while watching it for the first time, I was like, also like, okay, like when are we gonna get like a really random reference to something of the prequel trilogy, something of history, something of Coruscant or something, right? Like something that's gonna take us to Naboo or something really weird, you know? And I was and I was also excited because I felt like Star Wars was now in the hands of really smart people. So it's like they can do something really good, right?
Yeah.
So I was expecting something kind of cool, and we still haven't got that. It's been 2 movies now. We still haven't really got a very good reference to the prequel trilogy. But at the same time, I kind of understand if we take it on a history style. It does make sense that they don't know much about that time. Because even Rey says in Force Awakens, like, oh, I thought Luke Skywalker was a myth. Like, if she thinks Luke is a myth, then, like, Qui-Gon Jinn must be, like, an absolute fairy tale.
Nothing.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That must never even be said anywhere, right? So I do understand from that point of view. But even so, I would love it if, like, Rey uncovered some mystery, just something of, like, Mace Windu, or something that takes us full circle all the way back. But we still haven't really got that yet. So I'm hoping to see that in Rise of Skywalker a little bit. It's not necessary. It just would make me a little bit happy if we got more of tying in both the trilogies instead of just trying to pay respects to the original trilogy.
Right. You know, I it's so hard to say what direction that this trilogy is going because, like, the way that I know of, or I recall before that, maybe I read that George Lucas intended Star Wars to always be a movie about family and relationships.
Yes.
And everything that takes place around them, like so the everything in space and the war and everything, that is kind of like it's secondary, right? It's truly about the relationships. So, like at least I feel like with episode 7 and 8, we've seen a lot of back and forth relationship with Rey and Kylo, and Kylo severing his ties with his dad, with Han Solo, and then Luke being separated and then kind of coming together with Rey, and then defending what he can against the First Order.
Yeah.
So I feel like there are more relationships that are being focused in these movies than like the war itself, and then because I mean, like with Snoke, like we saw him a little bit in the first one. We saw like that giant, huge hologram, like the Mr. Clean hologram.
Oh yeah.
And then in episode 8, we see him like he's finally sitting on his throne, but like we see him for like 2 scenes, and then he dies, and it's like nothing. So he was so like inconsequential to the whole. At least it's seemingly inconsequential to the story of Star Wars, and it kind of makes me think like there must be so much more to it coming for whatever relationship is left over of Rey and Kylo.
Yeah.
And then whoever else. I mean, like there, like we have the other characters like Poe and Finn, who's even left now. I'm not even sure. The Asian girl. Like we have all these characters that we've gotten to know, but we haven't necessarily seen them diverge into some sort of like a bloodline relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with Rey and Kylo, we don't necessarily know what their lineage could be. But I mean, with all the Force sensitivity that they have between them, like we saw that Luke and Leia, in episode either 5 or 6, like they were able to sense each other from so far away. But we know that they're both Force sensitive, coming from a Force sensitive father, and they have that connection. So I guess like I'm hoping to see that. Maybe it would be cliche, but like I feel like there should be something that truly connects like their bloodline together, and then I guess it'll be a matter of if that relationship is balanced, is the Force finally truly balanced? Like, is that going to be like a giant tie? You know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm really, obviously, like we're all really curious to see what happens with episode 9, but there's so many directions that it could go at this point, I feel.
My original fan theory after watching Force Awakens and coming out of the theater, that I honestly thought, and it's funny because now it sounds so far-fetched to where they're going, but I honestly thought Rey and Kylo. I thought
Yeah.
that Rey and so first off, I thought Rey was going to somehow be Obi-Wan Kenobi's granddaughter. I
Okay.
thought there was going to be a plot that we don't know about purposely.
Yeah.
And we were going to find out because they were always talking about other movies that were going to come out in between. You know, now we know that was Rogue One and Han Solo. But I thought what was going to happen is we were going to find out eventually that Obi-Wan Kenobi went off and did things before Episode 4 and after 3, and we were going to get a movie with Ewan McGregor, which does look like we're going to get. But I thought in that movie he was going to meet some kind of woman and fall in love, and then we were going to get some child we don't know much more about. And then that child could possibly have another movie, or we might not need that movie, and that child has a child who ends up being Rey. So I thought what we were going to find out it was actually Rey Kenobi. And then what I thought was going to happen was her and Kylo were going to get into a relationship in the second movie, and I thought it was going to be a lot more like Attack of the Clones, where there's that whole like relationship level to it. It's like trying to be a love movie at the same time, but done on the more compassionate side, where it's a love movie, but it's also two different ways of thinking, and then eventually they break off. So what I thought was going to happen is she was going to get pregnant with Kylo's kid, and she was going to have technically a Skywalker child, right?
Yeah.
So we were gonna have like a baby Skywalker, and at the end of that movie, like they were still at odds with each other. And then the third one, she has like her kid who's like maybe 4 or 5 now, and they have like a lightsaber battle. Sorry, her and Kylo have like a final lightsaber battle. And then near the end, he was gonna have to kill the Snoke-like character for the sake of his child, to show his child that like the father was good kind of thing, and he was going to sacrifice himself, killing Snoke. And the child would then be raised knowing that like there's good in the Force, just like Darth Vader was. And then we were going to end it off with the Kenobis and the Skywalkers officially being one family. And then that way, when you go all the way back to the first movie of Phantom Menace, you would get like there's Obi-Wan, and then there's little Anakin, and like little do they know that like their paths never stop crossing. And then you could have so many homages to like the fight scene in the third movie with like Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting each other. You could have a very similar fight scene happen for Rey and Kylo in the last the sequel trilogy. So I really thought that's where it was going after I saw the first movie. I'm so wrong on that now, but that's what I was hoping for. So every time I do see them on screen together, I guess I kind of fantasize about like what could have been, and so I get really excited about what they're doing with them, and then I kind of get disappointed when they don't do too much. But I do love the subtleties, like when they had that weird Force conversation in the second or 8th movie,
in episode 8,
when they had the Force conversation, and then he has water on his glove. I love that subtlety. It's so interesting. There's something so cool that's there. And honestly, if the last movie was just those two and you cut out every other character, like I would be so interested in what they're trying to tell with that storyline. I just want to know where that's going.
Yeah, so I guess like I was gonna bring up also that happens in episode 8 where they I can't remember who it is, but the like the Jedi hut with all the books, whatever it is, like all gets burned.
Yes.
So and then also at the end of the movie we see that Luke, as he dies, he doesn't just like die and his body's left there, but he completely dissolves, like he disappears, just in the similar fashion that Obi-Wan did in episode 4 when Darth Vader struck him down.
Exactly.
So I wonder if and you were just saying something that made me think of it, but I wonder if that has anything to do with with the whole seeing the water on his glove. It makes me feel like there is some sort of deeper dimension to the Force that maybe they're kind of uncovering, or
they're transcending through it a little bit there. When
like that's what they're trying to show us, because we've found like we're seeing these things being severed from the physical form, from the physical plane. And we're seeing more of what happens through the Force.
That's
like
interesting.
I say more so than what we saw in the first 2 trilogies. So I wonder if that's something that we're going to see more of in episode 9, like more of a transcendence through the Force. It's
the only line
the
only line in the new trailer that I think like is movie worthy, right, is really getting me pumped, is when she says in the trailer, she says to somebody, we don't know who, she says, "You don't know me, nobody knows me," and then it shows Kylo like come out of like the mist with his sword, and he's just like, "I know you," and then he like walks forward with his sword. It's like so intense, and you're just like, "Oh, that's so cool," because it's like I don't know why, but I love that character development. It's like even us as the audience, we don't know her, we don't know him, we don't understand these characters at all, but they understand each other, and that's for some reason really badass. I like that.
Yeah. So okay, what are your I mean, we've kind of gone over it, but what are your overall projections for episode 9? Who's going to live? Who's going to die?
I expect Leia to
Storyline?
die just mainly because of the actress. For Carrie Fisher's sake. I feel like they're going to just kill her off in a respectful way. I do think Luke is coming back. I think.
Okay.
I think he'll come back as
like
a Force Ghost. Yeah. And I think even one of the trailers may have had his voice, although I don't know if it was from a previous movie. So I feel like he's coming back as a Force Ghost to help Leia. I mean, to help Rey.
Yeah.
And I think, the Emperor's coming back. I think we'll honestly just get a very similar scene to Return of the Jedi with Kylo now in the place of Darth Vader. And probably her and Kylo having to fight it out, but instead they use their powers to kill the Emperor or something.
Like together, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you probably hit the nail on the head. They'll probably try to just leave it there with, like, the Force is now balanced. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kylo's going to die. I feel like maybe he'll live. Maybe he'll go back to being like Ben. What was his name? Ben Skywalker? Or like, I don't know.
Ben Kenobi? What do you mean? He's Ben.
Ben Solo. Sorry, he was Ben Solo.
Sorry.
I guess. Yeah, no, I was thinking his Skywalker, but yeah, maybe he'll go back to being Ben Solo by the end of it. Like, that would be. I think that would be really interesting to pay homage to Han Solo and how he kind of just abruptly ended. So I feel like it would be nice for Ben to or for Kylo Ren to stop saying Kylo Ren, to just go back to I am Ben Solo and have a blue lightsaber or something by the end of it. Like, that would be interesting if he went back to just being regular and we saw two regular Jedis that were just living life and they were happy. I would be like, that's the honest truth, is I think that would be the best ending we can get out of this. And I just think that the way the series has already come up, I'm not expecting a grand, royal, huge finale to Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just expecting it to end this series and also end with a big question mark on what
exactly.
This means
It'll leave
for
it open
Star Wars.
to further stuff. Exactly. I can't imagine, like, the trailers say it like the saga.
I don't believe that
finishes
at all.
Or the saga ends finally on an episode. No, but no, like, definitely not. Like, there's still so much more room for for lore to continue and to go back to.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that with whatever ground that they've been able to make with this Star Wars trilogy, that they wouldn't continue later in the future. So one of the things that it's hard for me to project exactly what's going to happen, but I can't imagine that both Rey and Kylo would live by the end of the movie. And what I'm kind of expecting, because like I don't feel like we've gotten the answer to it, but in episode 7, sorry, in episode 7, when Kylo looks at the crushed Darth Vader helmet, and says, "I will finish what you started."
I will finish.
Like, I don't think we've. Is it just me where, like, we haven't actually gotten an answer to that? Like, we don't exactly know what his full 100% motive is just yet, do we? Like, in the time that we saw him being conducted by Snoke, everything was like, it was seemingly that he was being completely led by Snoke, like, without question. But then it seems like with no hesitation, he kills Snoke, as if like he had never intended to be under Snoke guys.
Yeah, it's a little all over the place on that.
Yeah, so like I almost wonder if, like, was that just his own stepping stone, and did he always know that Darth Sidious was still around, and because maybe he could like feel it, he could sense it,
right?
And so he's just been biding his time so that he could kill Darth Sidious, like, physical form once and for all. Because I feel like even if you were to kill Darth Sidious, he's still going to be lasting in the Force in some way. Like, he's definitely surpassed like the physical plane, right? Like, he said it in episode. Man, it's so hard to go back and forth episode this, episode that. But he said it to Anakin in the prequel trilogies that he was talking about Darth Plagueis,
right?
And his apprentice learned from Darth Plagueis how to be immortal, and his apprentice killed him, alluding or kind of signifying that he himself was the apprentice. So he knows immortality, was going to teach it to Anakin, ends up being immortal in some fashion because we thought he's dead, but he's actually back. So what does that mean for his immortality? What does that mean for his connection to the Force? So I don't know, like I'm wondering if maybe that's what the balance in the Force could mean, that he's he's severed from it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Man.
Yeah, like he's his own. He goes by his own trail, kind of thing.
Yeah. He's blazing his own trail. So, anyway, yeah, that's. I mean, that's a lot to digest there.
It
for
is. And
all
we'll
the
have to
Star Wars
recap
movies, but-
when it's out and when we watch it. We'll have to do a big recap on
Yeah.
how it goes because I am intrigued to see what they're trying to tell in this trilogy because it's not obvious right now.
Yeah,
It's
not at all.
At first they're like, "Oh, the Jedi was a myth, but now it's real, so let's relive the legends." And then they switched focus entirely to the legends that you knew are not the legends you know now because they second guess everything. And you go,
Yeah.
"Okay, so then you don't really know what to feel, right?" So you're like, "What is the overall arc you're trying to tell me then?" It's that we forge our own path, is what you were just saying, right? So maybe that is.
I'm trying to think now. Like, so this movie, The Rise of Skywalker. I'm trying to think back to, like, the overarching thing that happened during each of the trilogies. So, original trilogy, like, the Jedi are basically non-existent aside for Obi-Wan and maybe like a couple here that like we're not exactly aware of in the movies. And he brings up Luke, who is sort of meant to, hopefully restore the Jedi. So it's kind of like the restoration of the Jedi. In the prequel trilogy, it's about decimating all the Jedi. So it's about like destroying them all. So now this one, like, where exactly are we at? Is it even going to focus on what, like, it's the rise of Skywalker, but is it because Skywalker is a Jedi or because he just is connected to the prophesied person being Anakin? Like, maybe this trilogy is just solely about that and really is not trying to tell us anything about like what is the meaning of Jedis and Sith, because like Kylo, I mean, like, does he actually identify himself as the Sith? Because
I don't think he does. No, I don't think Sith gets brought up again in any of the other movies except for the first three.
Yeah, maybe because like he's Kylo from the Knights of Ren, so it's like that. To me, it sounds like, well, that's his background. He's not doing this as a Sith, but he's doing this as a Knight of Ren or whatever that means. But yeah, so maybe this movie just really has nothing impactful that is meant to be like revolving around Jedi and Sith, but we still have so much. We just have so much.
Maybe the Rise of
cover.
Skywalker means that officially there's no more Jedi. Like maybe all the Jedi are gonna stop being Jedi. All the bad guys are gone. There will never be more Jedi, and now it's the rise of like the Skywalker family that can just be regular.
Yeah.
And actually, wouldn't Skywalker technically, unless Rey is somehow related to the Skywalkers, wouldn't that mean that Kylo is the one who lives at the end then?
Well, I guess so, but
like maybe he will be Ben Solo, and he's the lone survivor of the whole thing, and then that's why it's the Rise of Skywalker.
Interesting. I wonder if it has anything to do with Luke's notion, because in Episode 8 he was saying that the Jedi has to end, right?
True.
So I wonder if the Rise of Skywalker means like it's the end of Jedi, but the rise of whatever Skywalker, whatever like the Skywalker mentality is or the Skywalker meaning is, whatever that is. So, yeah. Whew.
Well, it's interesting. We really dove into that, but I don't know. That's the real answer. We just don't know.
Why don't you know? You're supposed to know this. That's why I bring it up with you, so you can give me the answers.
We will find out next time on the Scumbar podcast, and by that I actually mean not next time, but another time after that. Later on, because next episode we will not be talking about Skywalker or Star Wars, but we will do that after we return from the break. That'll probably be our very first episode. There is our reactions to Star Wars and how it was.
Ooh,
yeah.
Reactions. Cool.
Reactions. We have had a little bit of a longer episode, but that's fine by me. I like talking about Star Wars, so
yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Anth0z, where can the audience find you?
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Ooh.
Or now on Twitter at Anth0z1. That's at Anth0z1.
And if you want to find me, you can find me flying sky high in the Millennium Falcon on Twitter at Mattbrush Gaming. You can also find me on YouTube at Mattbrush Gaming as well. That's where I post these podcasts in video format, so you can watch it, or you probably wouldn't want to watch it, just leave it on, on YouTube if you want. Or you can listen to this podcast in podcast form on any of your podcast platforms. We're on like everything now, so you can see us on there. Leave us a comment or a like or a subscribe or whatever you want. Just let us know how we're doing. Tell us if you like the Star Wars conversations or if you want less or more Star Wars conversations. If you want to write us your favorite Star Wars fan theory, go ahead at thescumbarpodcast@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear it, and maybe we'll even read it here live on air. So we'll see.
Maybe we'll read it individually, so you get to hear it twice.
That would be great. Maybe we'll read it at the same time, so you get to hear it with like an echo effect.
Ooh,
we'll try
echo, yeah.
We'll try to harmonize with our voices too, so it actually sounds cool.
This is Star Wars.
Anth0z, why don't you give me your best Chewbacca impression, and then we'll head out.
There's no way I. Let me. How do you? Can you do one?
Uh.
I feel like if I did it, I would just like wreck my throat.
There you go. It's not bad. All right, I love it. All right, have a good night, everybody.